We're back again. Thanks for joining us. We like your subscribing and telling your friends and stuff. Hit the bell, get an alert whenever we're live. And we'll give you some really, really good fish to fry, man. We've been kicking butt. Everything we said would happen this week is absolutely followed through, and some of it is blown through even our price targets. And our price targets were not modest. Most of them were pretty out there, but they just got nailed. It was pretty cool. That's a good feeling. And the joke, even my dogs picked a good stock. They did. Chewy's kicking butt too. I can't believe it. What a week. If you're back with us from the last time we were on, I mean, we were calling out some pretty nice shots, and everything just absolutely accelerated. Now we're taking profit. I closed some of my position on SQ. I have some way out of the money debit spreads, paid a nickel each. Sold them at 20. Sold a bunch of them at 20 cents yesterday to cover my risk. That's a 400% return, and it's still cooking off. It peaked at like 650% today, and I think it's accumulating to go higher and eventually hit my $89 target. That's my self-proclaimed analyst target. And it could even go higher than that. I mean, if you look at SQ on the week, the reversion target's way up here at 142. If that happens, I'm going to be dancing because I will have paid a nickel for max profit on a $5 wide spread. Hello. That'd be pretty bitching. Anyway, we got a couple things to go. Let me get on the single grid here. And then Matthew's got a few things to talk about as far as some edges and themes we're going into. And then we're going to see who the losers are in a couple of these overbought stocks that are likely to pull back. That's going to present itself, I think. All right, let me lead the way here. Let me get into my watch list here. I have a couple in there. Start with, let's say KVYO.
All right. Yeah, so the KVYO.
Yeah, KVYO.
There we go.
Kilo Victor, Yankee Oscar.
So one of the things I'm going to be looking for, especially because, just about everything I like is way overbought, is the stocks that ran up a lot that are more the junkier names. And, I'm going to be looking to short them if they break support. So KVYO is one. I may end up actually getting out of this short position because it's moved back above the 50-day. But, you see this thing, went almost doubled over the past couple of months. And then something happened, probably, it looks like an earnings thing, where it blew through the 50-day, stayed below. Yesterday, tried to break above and couldn't. So this is one name I'm short. Again, if it breaks back above the 50-day and starts going back up, I'm out of it.
Right.
I think this theme of the trashier names that have been rallying with everything else, breaking key support levels and buying puts on them, and I think is a good theme to kind of, do versus, buying something that you like that's ridiculously extended, like, a Geo. I love Geo, but, 15 to 25 in a couple of days on a prison stock.
Yeah, it's time to come back to earth.
Not something I want to be at, that's where I want to be taking profits, not where I want to be adding.
Exactly. And that's one of the ones we called out. And we were picking off targets on it. It blew through and absolutely overbought well above our targets. And that's kind of the thing. Sometimes you got to take the reciprocate trade and take the half back move, or if you want to dare short it while everyone else is taking profit, cool, sell into that, sell into strength, and then just take a short position, scalp the half back, and move on with your life. I was just looking at KVYO here, and I have kind of a theory that applies to earnings calls when they're extreme moves typically give half back. And that's kind of where I'm looking with this thing. Reciprocate target kind of falls right in line with the 50 period on the daily. On the, what was it, 2 hour? There it is. With the earnings call kind of giving it the little rounding bottom here, reciprocate move for halfbacks about 36.50. It kind of falls right into that 2 hour 50 period. And then the daily, it was a bit of an undercut and rally. So yeah, it could be a good short to go back to, under the 50 period, maybe say about 34.40 or so would be a good viable target for shorts on that. I'm out of this one, but just kind of my experience with earnings calls, it typically will give half back almost every time. As far as the other stocks that are pretty well extended, I also kind of look for losers, but let me go back into that in a moment. So let's go to Geo. That thing was just psychotic. I mean,
yeah. Now this was one that I did buy ahead of the election. I mean, those friggin' polls, had everyone scared. Interestingly, it was all of Wall Street. I had lunch with one of the biggest hedge funds in the world that hires the best pollsters. Their guys were saying 50-50 Edge Harris. And I heard from one of our prime brokers this morning that across Wall Street, all the big players way under levered before the election and are now scrambling like crazy to add back on their leverage.
Right.
So, I mean, don't feel bad about yourself if you didn't see, this coming. But Geo was a name I bought ahead, figuring, it's a real company. And, worst case, it's at 14, it goes to 12. I put a couple grand in the calls and, it goes to zero, no big deal. DJT is one I would not have touched,
right.
Because that was a binary bet. But this, to me, the risk reward was there. And yeah, I mean, this was awesome.
It did everything we we're looking at and more. I put my self-proclaimed analyst target on it at 1740, and it just absolutely gapped through that like it wasn't even there, and printed basically a 2-for-1 to the first wave in this thing to like 2150. Gave half back on that impulse there back to $20, and then just shot off. Insane moves. Now it's kind of fallen over a little bit. I could see it hitting the accumulation zone around 24.40 or so, and then maybe if it holds there, cool, we'll print a big old bull flag and then get on with our lives. And if Wall Street kind of missed the leverage point on this thing, they'll be after that liquidity about there anyway. So it seems about appropriate to ride on their coattails and run with it if it forms up a nice bull flag there. At least catch the second impulse, take some profit off, and ride for the breakout if it moves higher. So, we wouldn't be the only dip buyers in that case, but in the meantime, it looks like so far that the liquidity is grabbing a quick short, looking for accumulation down here. Pretty obvious. A couple others we're looking at, and I heard that there was a thing that came out, a news blurb that came out. Trump was basically lifting the ban on TikTok there, and I got kind of thinking, with the way you think, you're like, well, who's going to be hurt in that move? So I started looking immediately to Snap, and sure enough, there's your pullback. I mean, it blew through my 1190 target a little bit. Didn't quite hit the full reversion here. It got rejected beforehand, and bam, we're looking for a half back on this move. And so far, if that's a good short, you got 2 targets here. So one of them's like $11, and if we cruise through that, we'll probably find ourselves in liquidity down here around 1030 again. So pretty easy move there. It was a pretty quick short off the open, and there she goes. It's kind of a neat strategy. So I mean, I wanted to kind of tell people if you can get into one of the webinars or some of the info on the website, that's a great thing to look into is the heat. The heat strategy. I mean, I really am starting to take a shine to that, if you would. I like it. And then
awesome.
Also, I mean, I wanted to congratulate you here on the air. You guys exceeded $3 billion under management. That is absolutely amazing feat. I'm just sitting in this chair hanging out with a dude who has over $3 billion in management. I never thought I'd be here, man. This is a humbling moment for me. And sobering, in fact.
Thank you very much. That was great. Now we need to figure out what the next micro strategy is.
For sure. And we're actually, I almost feel like working together on that is the way to go. Put two heads together and we can kind of synchronize on that. So I'm liking the fact that we got a pretty good idea of being ahead of the nuclear theme. I love that we got into the what if Trump is elected theme, working out great. Pretty much everywhere we go, we find a theme and we work together through it, and we're both doing great with it.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome feeling. Moving into a couple other things just to go through and review. A couple things kind of we were standoffish on. We were saying, okay, we'll wait for this to work out, and then we'll see what the follow through move is on it later. So those call outs pretty much accumulated where we thought they were. A lot of our bull targets just absolutely got nailed and then some. And then here we are back into the review on a couple other things. I'll start running down the list of stuff that we were looking at. So ZIM was one of the ones we were waiting for accumulation on. That's just basically the shipper. It is still above that half block here, and it is still looking to shoot for that $26 target pretty quick here. But if it runs out of gas at that point, look for possibly a good short opportunity back here, like 1850.
I've made a lot of money on Zim in the past, but
Yeah,
for me, looking at this chart, just way too noisy.
it is noisy as hell. And I was just talking to some of my members this morning how a lot of the times we're short-term focused to the point where everyone else is sitting out of the market. The algos are pretty much running a price action on the indexes, and the more they influence it, the easier it is for us to find scalp trades. And we were absolutely killing it this morning, scalping futures and just plotting those range targets A to B and back. It was just glorious. So when I see a chart like that, I know that, yeah, it's going to be like stand off and wait. But the more this chop kind of persists, the more likely it is to follow through with the move, and the algos eventually push it. So I'll wait for a better setup, but I think so far we're looking for a quick push, probably to about $26. If it rejects there again, easy short. So when it's chopping like this, it gives you all the reciprocate moves, and you can see generally where all the candles stop, even in that chop, right here and right here. And then that's the halfway point, and then back down here is possible for an extension. Obvious. So even though it's choppy, we eventually will find a decent setup with this thing again. And yeah, I'm with you. I've made all kinds of money trading Zim too. That rotation from the sector rotation on was just gravy. Easy stock to trade. So give it some time. We'll follow through with this chop, and eventually we'll get a nice breakout range, I'm sure. And then just treat it like a range. That's when it's chopping like this, all ranges eventually break. And when they do, be right there to be the guy to ride that coattail to whatever your target may be, long or short. TLN was another freaking home run, and then some. I put my self-analyst target on it at 190.50-ish, and it nailed that with that candle, stacked up a half-measured move block above it. So I went through and followed through, printed another block on this thing. 212.70 was the target. Here we are, doing it again, guys. Damn, we're good. Where is this guy going to go next? Is this going to possibly be a profit-taking parabolic move and then maybe get some capitalization out of this?
It looks like all the nuclears are cooling off a little bit. There was just another article out this morning in Barron's about Biden trying to put something into like triple nuclear capacity, but it's by 2050.
Yeah.
So I think, and what are they doing? Yeah, it's interesting. If you look at the nat gas names, which we've talked about, EQT and Antero AR, those things have run a lot. And I think that's people realizing, yeah, nuclear is awesome, but it's not going to be here tomorrow.
No.
What are we going to use now? Oh, crap, maybe it's going to be nat gas.
And nat gas is definitely easier access. I mean, nuclear, it takes years to build those power plants,
right,
even the small ones. Whereas natural gas, I mean, you put it in the furnace and cook it, man, you've got power. So
yeah, I'm up like 223% on my EQT calls.
Nice work.
Yeah, AR not as good, 50%.
I ran out of measured moves targets.
Weak cousin.
And if I were to build another one, I mean, I'd say it's pretty obvious. It's hit 1.5 on this current move here, and then some. So I'd expect some accumulation here and then maybe some continuation. So it's still looking strong. I mean, it's still got some strength in that sector generally for natural gas. So doing well. Natural gas futures, I don't even care to look at them anymore. Just trade the companies are using it. Pretty simple. I had another disruptor that I mentioned last week just absolutely take off, and that was SoFi. Blasted through my analyst target, then gapped up to finish the measured move. Now we're taking profit, consolidating for a while probably. Capitalization has pretty much done its thing. Market structure followed through, hit the reversion target pretty well. Pretty easy target there. Next, we have some range. So I'm thinking we'll probably see this give us this liquidity zone above this measured move block here, and then maybe give us another play later, probably into the first quarter of next year, I would assume. But that was great play, of course. And then SQ also gave us the beans on that one. And my analyst target hasn't been met on SQ yet. $89 is still in play. Again, I took my profit when I needed to on the position to cover risk. And I got till January 17th. I got till the middle of December to decide what to do with that. If it can't break this, I'll just take the rest of the profit off and walk away. If it can, targets are pretty obvious. And market structure does its thing. It's pretty reliable. Another one we were talking about last week, waiting for follow through after it hit our target, and that was a short target for AMD. And sure enough, it gave us the hop off that measure move block down. That short was glorious. Killed that one. Went up to the liquidity zone, rejected. Okay, as it should. If we see a double bottom here, sure, it can be a dip buy. The consensus was, oh, this is a V bottom. No, it's not a V bottom. Come on, that's just a half back, guys. Get over yourselves. Now we're looking for, another return somewhere either in the mean or the low, or possibly extend all the way down to the measure move block here and set up a double bottom. Give that probably till the end of the month. Maybe we'll see something move starting in December or so. As for, the amount of money that the chips have been pouring into this thing, and AI is certainly taking a lot of profit out of their sales or out of the pockets of investors to put into growth. That's fine. Let it do its thing. We'll be here to scalp it some more when it comes back. In the meantime, I think NVDX is ready to pop, and I'm going to look at NVIDIA for the dope on that.
NVIDIA's got earnings.
Looks like the 20th.
That sounds right.
And we're set up to where we've got the melt up into earnings. We're right at my self-proclaimed analyst target.
20th after the close.
So I'll hurt my elbow again right at that 147.60 level. And that happens to be still under the half block move from primary, secondary things. I'm looking at the weekly to find this, by the way. This is our primary accumulation to the middle of this range. Secondary is here. So we could see a quick spike in going into earnings week, possibly to about 156 or so, which is a half a block high off this move. And then I think I want to see it settle back down here in range for a while before we get any follow through with repeating or resuming this parabolic trend that it's had. But if we do, that would bump our analyst target even higher. Lo and behold, there's a pivot already there. Essentially, years ago, I drew all these out and just left these lines on the chart. Let's turn that one purple now. That's my next analyst target. Should this accumulate in this range and follow through with continuing to be parabolic? If that plan fails, go back for the reserve move of coming back to the middle of this range, and 117 would be the number. So I'm going to make this a different kind of purple so it stands out a little better, maybe a dark purple. There we go. I don't want red. There we go. Worst case scenario, this fails, breaks down, earnings says, hey, we're not quite ready to make profit on this investment yet on AI. That's the worst case scenario. That's like fire sale right to 117. That number's been significant for a while. We've scalped to and from that number a couple of times. I know the folks over in the other trade room that I follow over there with the folks at, sorry a second, Quasar there. we get into some trades together too, and we made some scalps to that 117 mark a couple of times, and then 102 was another pivot that was key. If those areas get approached again, I think I can see some opportunity for some longs, because this accumulation is just that. It's a range trade until it breaks range, and all ranges do break. So we'll just stick around and be with it. Dogs made a good trade. Chewy, man. I still can't get over that. They started barking in the middle of our broadcast, and you jokingly say, "Should we look at Chewy?" Dude, what a call.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that was just awesome.
Sometimes you get signs.
Right? And, the universe has a way of presenting that to you. And I love my dogs, and I love Chewy, and there it is. Nice play. I could say my dogs picked a good stock. That's how good we are, guys. Just saying. If you've been around, our accuracy is not a lie. We're literally holding that 94% accuracy on our call outs, and even my dogs make a good one every now and then. Can't get over that. That's awesome. Not going to deny them the glory for that. I went out and got some extra treats for that. So that was pretty awesome. As far as going into the next move on this thing, follow through. I would expect this to be a nice daily doji here, maybe give us a dip back to this liquidity zone, perhaps. Market structure isn't quite done with this thing. This is only that second side of market structure, so it's likely to stay in this range. But if it does get psycho and parabolic, 39.75 is not out of the question. But I wouldn't hold my breath there. I wouldn't necessarily continue along into this just yet. I took my profit off. I'm going to wait and see what happens. Sure, I can leave money on a table and it can fly away from me. I don't care at this point. I've made profit on it. My dogs did good. So, kind of moving on from this one, I'll wait and see what happens with this. If we get a daily doji here and we do not get a bar opening up above the body of that doji to give us another measured move out of this to like $36, I would say the pullback is pretty likely. So let this thing do its thing until then. Getting into a couple others, EQT. That was just freaking awesome too.
Right, that I just mentioned. Yeah, the nat gas.
We mentioned on that one. And then last but not least, I had another call out for kind of a reciprocate on Bristol Myers. That was a pretty nice move. It blasted through my 57.25 target here and gave us another half move up to 61 and rejected. So this is the reversion target for market capitalization or market structure right in there. Look for accumulation here. It may continue higher, but I'm not so keen on that. I think it's likely to give us a pullback first. So if you took that BMY trade with me, I'm taking profit. I'm done. And I would recommend the same, because that's looking like everybody is got the same idea. So let's see if it pulls back to 57.25 again and gives us another shot for continuation from here. This is market structure doing its thing. Yeah, this is where we would expect a trend to kind of follow through, but it hit targets so fast, it's got to give a little bit back. So, don't go chasing everybody else's dreams. Let's take our profit and be realistic on this one. What else we got to look at? I know you
I got a couple more that I went short. So VITL is one.
VITL.
That made a big move from September through mid-October and then broke down.
Oh, nice. That's looking like it'll wedge out right about there. I see the angular, pretty obvious. And that's a descending wedge, though. I wonder if that's going to give us even more short.
Hope so.
Yeah, we could see that at 25 and a quarter. I'll give it a little bit of up on that. A full move would take us there. And then if it holds this angular, though, maybe look to take some profit off at about 26.75 or so on the weekly chart here with that wedge. So, yeah, it kind of lines up. And then the other thing is, I'll show you a little bit of this trick for those of you watching here who like to hang out and wait for us to go through all the learning parts. I know we like to fire off as much as we can for trade targets, but An easy way to find a short-term target is pretty simple. You can mark the second wave in a wedge like this, take the size of it, and then yes, you have one target at the angular here, but if it breaks that and goes lower, pretty obvious measured move is going to be down here around $20.50. So if that breaks that angular and it starts to take a real dive on the earnings call here, it's pretty much already set in stone and set in motion. That's where it'll end up. So pretty easy little trick to find targets. And then we had a couple more to talk about, but mainly we're just kind of waiting for.
Hold on, I got one more short. MNDY.
MNDY.
Yep, Monday.
Okay.
MNDY.
Hey.
This one is textbook for what I'm looking for.
Sweet.
Stock that had a massive run that breaks support.
We got a couple reciprocate targets in there. We've already breached half back with a wick. Let's put it together real quick here. If it gets extended, we start looking for the top of this gap here. So 241 would be a good base target if it continues lower, and that gives us about a half measure move down from here. And 260, 630 is where some profit taking occurred. That's where you got the limit orders right there for the first wave of shorts to take profit and close. Yeah, the secondary move is pretty much expected. We're looking like a nice bear flag break so far. Breaking below 266 would send it on down. 240, 241 would be a reasonable, modest target on that, and that is about halfway between here and where the not the 50-day, the 30-day would be even better. Sorry, 90-day would be down here. 200 days already down here. So 200-day would meet that with time, a couple days, down to 241. That makes sense, and that's about where we'd see the range of support. But also pay attention to about half that. So I would say the majority of bears might give us just a little bit below this wick here, and say about 254 would be a good reasonable exit for the bulk of your position, and then leave some runners on. I like leaving runners on. Nice short, man.
Yeah, so far so good. But I mean, that's a textbook chart for what I'm looking for. Stock that ran up, not in NVIDIA or something like that, that's now breaking through support.
So the trash names that you end up shorting when they go parabolic.
Trashier names, yeah.
Perfect. I think we got Kashkari coming out at 2:00 today. I don't know that anything's priced in for that yet, but I think there's definitely some volatility in order about 2:00.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm not, I guess he could say something market moving.
He's got I call it 1/4 the impulse power of Jay Powell, maybe when he says the right thing, but usually he's pretty much the negative Nancy of the bunch. So on QQQ, I'm watching this liquidity zone with impunity, because if we breach that, we get some pretty fast bearish action. We've got two moves we can possibly make here, so we can go to a 507. That's about half a measure move down from where we're at here on this liquidity zone. And if things are really bearish or some sort of nasty news pops off or something, we could see 505 and extension all the way down to 500. I don't know that we're in trouble there yet. I think the market's generally bullish. I would be more inclined to probably wait for accumulation in this range within this zone between here and the high wave pivot. Or this was my previous analyst target. We nailed again. That's our accuracy, guys. We're that good. So, if we range in here and consolidate, this is just another choppy consolidation range, and then we start to breach that. LZ up here, pretty obvious. We smoked that. We're going to 520.70 pretty easy. That's just another block up. Pretty easy move. So that's a half measure on this. So, the market's generally bullish. Yes, it's parabolic. Yes, there's some profit taking in here, and Kashkari might catalyze this and set this off to breach this zone. If he does, cool. I like to short it. If not, I can put my my bear teeth out and put my bullhorns on in a heartbeat. So it's just a quick costume change, like an episode of Bugs Bunny. Those were the good cartoons. So yeah, that's pretty much all we really have to talk about today. It's kind of a short day for what we are looking at. But what are some things we should be watching coming into the end of the week? I know we've got a few earnings coming out. We got a few things kind of spitballing.
What I'm watching more than anything is the gold miners, silver, and the silver miners.
Like SLV.
You've seen, GDX, GDXJ, SLV, then some names like PAAS and AG, AG, maybe an undercut rally at the 200 level. Interesting. Those sold off on Trump winning, stronger dollar, money rotating from precious metals to crypto. I think that precious metals and crypto are the same. They're not the same, but they're the same-ish.
Right.
I think the Fed is still, behind the 8 ball, and I still love precious metals. And, once these things settle out, I'll be looking to go long again.
I mean, the instability is there. It's like everybody sees those as a safe haven to park cash in, and price action wise, it makes sense. I'd be looking for long there too.
Yeah, we're actually working on an ETF that's going to be levered Bitcoin, Ether, silver, and gold, because we think they fit very well together in a basket.
That's a good balance, and that could be a good place to hedge, because you can play from neutral on that. That's a good idea.
You got it.
I like that. That gives a really good place to just kind of park cash. And if it's got plenty of liquidity in the options chain, that could be a pretty low risk wheel trade to stay in, even if it's leveraged, because it's going to be kind of balanced. That's a cool idea. I like that. As far as I just like to look at SLV as kind of my canary in a coal mine when it comes to silver mining. Right on the line. This is an old liquidity zone that we're playing with right here for support. So around 27.50 would be a good area to watch for a possible long, at least to a halfback of like 29.50. Be a pretty good couple dollar trade. And the options chain on this thing is good enough to make some decent debit spreads out of this, or even just go with outright positions on that. I'll be watching about that point. Worst case scenario, this is a broadening pattern after all, and it did breach support of a broadening pattern for regression to MM. So it would put us right in the base of this liquidity zone. Yeah, that's exactly what I'd be looking for, a possible long opportunity. Unless it breaks support here, I'm pretty much waiting to be a bull on that. I'll knock my, like I said, I'll flip my bear teeth out and just put on my bow horns.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to get an outfit like that. We'll kind of make a
you're gonna look like the QAnon shaman.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of having a soundboard, I'll just use just sight gags. We'll still be the inverse Kramer. We'll just be the opposite. He does sounds, we do sights. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for today. I think we're just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for some volatility to swing out, waiting for some things to kind of compress. And again, I'm kind of watching the transaction disruptors, SQ, SoFi. There's a couple others in that sector that I'm probably not looking at, but it's, there's moves that have pretty much gone parabolic. It's a good time to take profit and just kind of wait and see. But I think SQ kind of lagged it a little bit. It's got a little bit more meat to move around before it starts hitting targets, but it's still kind of in motion. So I'm going to keep the rest of the runners going on that. Keep an eye out for kind of some themes to emerge soon, because I think, once things start getting back into Trump presidency, we're going to see some things kind of start, not necessarily sector rotation, but theme rotation. We're going to start seeing some attention focused in specific areas of the market that are likely to move with a Trump presidency. So one of the other,
And you want to invest thematically.
yes,
I mean, you've seen it the past couple of days where, the market really hasn't done a whole heck of a lot, but if you were in the right themes, you did very, very well.
exactly. And over the past about a month and a half now, we've done very, very well. So stick around.
In the right themes.
Tell your friends, and we're gonna show you some more things to look at. And I think probably Thursday and maybe into Tuesday next week, we're gonna have some really good swing setups start to emerge. I've got a sense of that. For now, it's kind of wait and see between now and then. And if you got into some of those longs like we did, this is where we're taking profit. We're waiting for the next setup. So that's pretty much how we do it. Buy low, sell high, rinse, repeat. This is the wait to rinse, repeat part of the game, basically. So we'll be around. Thanks again for joining me, man. I'm again truly humbled to be in your presence, sir. It's been an amazing thing that we've done together, and it continues to amaze even me that we are as successful at finding accurate and really good trade setups and price targets to boot. It's been phenomenal. I mean, I love being able to put my head together with another head that kind of thinks the same, and then be able to bounce ideas off of each other and just thrive together. That's what being a community in general is, and having a couple people put their heads together and bounce ideas off each other, even better. I mean, it just makes the day. And
yep.
Again, it's awesome and humbling at the same time. I love it. Thanks again for spending some of your time. I know your time's a hell of a lot more valuable than my time. And
thanks for having me.
And I appreciate you being here, man. I think we're gonna change your nickname in the Discord group to be Bullish Bears. At that point, Bullish Bears Tuttle Capital doesn't quite fit, so I have to change it to Bullish Bears Matthew. Maybe I'll add a nickname in there.
Whatever.
We'll do something, or you can do it on your own, whichever you want to do. But I think you're an honorary Bullish Bear and then some, because I mean, your heart's in the right place. You love to help pay it forward and teach others how to raise themselves up, and that's all anybody could ask for in this community. So that's how we roll.
Cool.
So, hearts aligned, man. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys all on Thursday. Have a great one.